was somebody on YouTube. Jay just made a statement. The statement was, listen, disclaimer. What I'm about to say has nothing to do with my views on this individual. But they said, we stand by Darrell Brooks. And so I asked the question of, why do you say that? And he made the statement of system is stacked. So those of you that don't know, I'm streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. And so YouTube can probably see the Twitch chat, but Twitch cannot see the YouTube chat. Only I can see all the different chats that are running right now. System is stacked against him, and he didn't even intend to hurt anyone. All right, now I'm going to show you guys something, and you can tell me if you know about this individual or not. Let's see. Let me pull it up first. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over real quick. All right, so this is the individual in question here, Darrell Brooks. I don't know if any of you all know what happened with him, but there's a murder trial that's been going on now for quite some, past 12 days plus, something like that. Now, listen. Let me make this clear, Kane. Intent, when it comes to the law, only comes in as a factor typically on sentencing. All right. I don't know how people feel about him. I haven't watched enough of the case to really make an assessment other than some of the more if you will, interesting moments. And the reason why, and the question that I was actually going to ask, or this, about this individual prior to Kane making the comment in the chat, is this. How good of an idea do you all believe it is for someone to try to represent themselves in a legal matter? Especially when said legal matter is a murder charge and a capital punishment trial. How smart do you think it is for an individual to try to represent themselves? I'd like to know. Chat on both. Just give your opinion on that. Yes or no, do you believe it's a good idea to try to represent yourself in not any legal matter? Let's specifically put it down to this here. A capital punishment form of trial, murder trial. Capital punishment meaning he is looking at being sentenced to death. Do you think it's smart, yes or no, to actually try to represent yourself? Now, I could make a poll for this, but I'm not going to. Just yes or no in the chat. I'll give it a couple of seconds. Yeah, I really wanted to know this from you guys. Gone Get It Bruh says hell no. Okay? All right. Let's see. There's that. Scorpion says it's cringe. Or I'm sorry, Scope says it's cringe. So that's a no from Scope as well. So you got two no's here. Now, he's not doing well, but he is proving a point that the legal system is a game. All right. So Kane over in I plead the fifth. King Brian, no. Seriously, this is. I'm joking. No. Okay. So that's three no's. All right. So Kane, I'm going to assume that. But Kane, what I want to know from you: do you believe it's a good idea for anyone to ever try and represent themselves in a situation of this sort? Now, here's the situation. Okay, you guys know I have a background on a lot of shit. Law, as far as international business law, things like that, which, of course, I had to understand other portions of the law as well. But But for me, it's a hell no, especially in a capital punishment sort of situation. Because what tends to happen, and this is why he's not the only one doing this though right now. There's another gentleman who is on trial for murder who is representing himself. And it made me wonder, is this becoming a norm for people to attempt to do this again in this era for some reason? The problem with it is this. Kane, you said that he's proving how the law is a game. Well, it is. It really is. And it's a game that people study to win. The stuff that I watched from him, he was coming from an emotional stand. It might get you some sympathy to rep yourself. It really won't, though. In the larger, okay, now on studying that sort of thing, you think it does. And I can understand why most people might think it does. And I could even be a juror and possibly sympathize with someone doing that. And here's the reason why. Because of the fact there was something that he said, the judge made a comment that she should not have made. She should not have made this comment. And it was to him saying to him, you're treating this as, you're every day you're coming in here treating this as a game. And immediately he kind of snapped off and was like, this is not, that's where you're wrong. This is not a game to me. How dare you say that this is a game? This is my life on the line. Essentially is what it broke down to. Now, from that standpoint, yes, you want to be the one who represents yourself in the light of, I know what happened. These are all the things that took place, whether you did something or not. Whether you did something or not, you might want to be in that position because you feel like you're the one that knows the situation best. Whether that means you got to lie a little bit, twist some shit up, you can swing that lie because you actually know what happens and you can swing it into whatever viewpoint you want to. Or if you're telling the truth, that emotion is going to pour out of you heavily. The problem with it is there's no room for emotion from a defendant, even if you're legally your own legal counsel at that point. You're representing yourself. It looks bad. Now, the reason why you have a lawyer is because this individual has obviously had to take the time to, study law, pass the bar, should have some form of belief in you as the client. Now, I understand when you get represented by a PD or a public defender, that is not the best look for most people, especially for men. It's really not. I have watched and seen cases where women have gotten by far more leniency on some crazy shit. But that is, of course, part of the social stigma. And for some reason, it seems like public defenders want to work harder for the female than they do for the man. Men just go to prison. That's just what it is. So I understand being like, look, I don't have the bread to get a good enough attorney. But fuck, representing yourself is not the smartest thing, because then you start missing out on very, very important objections, things like that, which I actually saw him do. He is not doing a good job of representing himself. What I will say is, if I were to believe him, all of this stuff that's actually coming out of him, as far as the logic that he's throwing out there against the way that the court system is working, the questions that he's asked some of the actual witnesses, including the police officers and things like that, especially when one of the police officers who was pulling the whole Amber Heard sort of situation, every time a question is asked of him, what did he do? Looked over at the jury. Yeah, so blah, 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 and then turns back. And the reason why is because you actually get coached by the legal teams, whether it is on the defense, you're coached in some light, and you are also coached most definitely by the state to do certain things. And as a police officer, considering their supposed standing in society, it is best for them to actually look at the jury and make some form of a connection. And also, if you are the plaintiff, it is best for you to do that because you need to make a connection with the jury and make them feel whatever it is that you're saying to them. I mean, literally, you are taught this in when you go out and do a job interview or when you talk to people face to face. When a man is talking to a woman he wants to fuck or date, eye contact is key. But in his case, of course, he's calling these things out, but it's not done in the manner that it should be based on the rules that are set forth in a court of law. His rage then goes so far as to get him kicked out of the courtroom multiple times within the last 12 days of the trial, which therefore looks bad on his behalf yet again because of the fact that he's already was, I believe he was brought in initially in the oranges. In the oranges, and what I mean by that is the orange jumpsuit that the orange suit you're wearing, you know, as a inmate of the state or whatever, clinked up, shackled by the ankles, which I mean that's already an objection to him in the first place. But then you don't have someone who actually mitigates the emotion that you actually have and then asks the proper questions and gives the proper objections at the proper time and deals with the judge and the state. Essentially, they are your mouthpiece at that point in time. That is the lawyer's job. The problem with all of this, I haven't watched enough to get the full scope of what this case is about. It would take me no time to do, but you guys know I don't have time to do it. And not just that, yeah, it's because of work, whatever. But the stuff that I have seen shows the absolute reason why you do not try and represent yourself in the court of law, especially when you have zero legal background. And there's only so much that you can actually access within a prison library, which is where he's getting a lot of his information from, based on, you know, law books and things like that. A lot of the times they may try to go through a what are they called? Oh my God. They are essentially legal. They're not legal assistants. Oh my fucking God. My brain is shot right now. But they might try to go through individuals who have on some level studied law, but they're not lawyers. Then they also try to go through and get any help that they can directly from the state that is actually going against them. But the judge herself, I did see multiple times where she tried giving not just leeway, but doing a very specific thing that she was not supposed to do, which is give him advice. She did it in such a way that she was sneaky about it. She worded it perfectly to where it was like, listen, I've been trying to help you. And on this specific instance, if you produce this and say, you know, something to the extent of this, then it's potentially admissible evidence. And then also giving him advice to not say certain things because he was opening up the door to the state to give out information that he didn't want out there. So the fact is, this is why it's a bad idea. Even with her going out of her way to give that bit of help, he didn't understand at that point in time. Shut up and play the game. More emotion came out to the extent where she has to stop court constantly over and over again to the point she's just like, get him the hell out of here. Put him in a different courtroom. And it's not a good thing if you are not sitting in that courtroom especially when you're trying to represent yourself. Now you have to essentially do it over video, which then presents you as more of an actual danger. So this whole case, again, I may have to just go back and take a look at all the charges, the charges that are against him, and everything else. Look at all the little evidence that I can find, whatever, at some point. But I mean, it wouldn't be until like middle of or end of this upcoming week that I could actually sit down and really fully talk about this. But for me, when it comes to him trying to represent himself, he's doing a piss poor job at it. And in fact, I believe only hurting himself. The only way that you win in that sort of situation, you truly, and I mean truly, have to have a group of your own peers as those that are going to be in the in the jury, and that's impossible. Let's keep it 100. The justice system is slightly fucked up. It is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I could speak on that in so many ways. It's not even funny. I have a lot of knowledge and background in it. I really do. Some of the shit I could tell you, I'd be like, holy fuck. But it's there for a reason. And you have to understand that by you trying to circumvent that system in the manner of putting yourself out there as your own legal counsel, you're almost going to win or lose every single time, because of the fact that during that jury selection, you're not the only one who's sitting there saying, yes, this juror, so on and so forth. Nah, the very people, the plaintiff, the state, whatever, they're going against you and choosing specific jurors that fit their mold and getting rid of yours. The crazy thing about it being a jury of your peers would mean that you would have to have individuals who come from a place that you come from, that have lived a life that you live, that practice the same religion and ideals that you practice, that have the same intelligence as you have, that, I mean, the list can go on and on and on, but it's not built like that. And in this case, what he should have done was got the best possible individual to be that face that presents his case in the way that he wants them to, because that's what a lawyer is paid to do. Now, they're going to give you their insight and tell you, hey, this is a bad fucking idea. And you have the right to go ahead and present something different to them to go ahead and present for you. Or you have the right to say, okay, you're fired. I need a new one. Period. But he was right on one thing. It is his life on the line. And that's why he should have gave himself a much better chance to present his case. That's all I can really say about it. That is about it. So yeah, I mean, feel free to let me know what you guys think about it in chat, whether it's now or if you're watching this later on. Yeah, it is interesting seeing more and more people doing this nowadays, and I wonder if it is, a sign of how things are at this point in time, and that includes trying to win in the court of public opinion versus where your ass and your life is on the line in the court of law. So yeah, that's it. That is my thoughts on that. So hear about Spinnabins. What the fuck is that, bruh? Listen,